So today we're going to be smoking some chicken leg quarters. Your first step would be to load your chicken. All right, and the reason I say load your chicken first before you season it is because it'll make it easier just to pull out and season on the rack and then push it back in instead of having to season it, handle it, put it back. It just makes it a lot easier. So the next step after I put them on is I actually go in there and I season them. So I'm gonna give you a little guide on how to do that. So I got my rub here that I'm gonna be using. So this is why I say put it in here first. That way you can just kind of pull it out and just literally season it while it's on the rack. All right, so you just repeat the process to all of them to get your chicken seasoned in here. One thing that I did notice is that this wasn't right on the, there you go, it has to be right in that. There he goes. So just season it like this. I'm gonna finish off the other rack on top, and then I'll come back with you guys and show you what to do next. Alright, so as you can see, I have my chicken, it's seasoned. The next thing would be to add chips. Now, I've had some issues with my smoker not wanting to smoke, so I started my own method of actually adding chips. I'm not gonna add them to the base here, because this is where it normally does, but it won't smoke. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add them on the bottom. Alright. By doing that, I'm gonna get some nice smoke going. And this does actually burn off your chips a lot faster, so you gotta be on it a little bit more, but it's well worth it. So once you have your chicken seasoned, your chips loaded, if your smoker's smoking fine the regular way, the traditional way, which would be adding the chips through there, go ahead and do that. But I just want to guarantee some good smoke. I did it that way. The next thing is you want to try to find the biggest piece of chicken, which I have identified as this one. And I'm going to stick the meat probe in there just so I can gauge the temperature. Now I'm not going to quote how much time it's going to take, but I will tell you this. In order for chicken to be considered smoked or cooked from the inside, you need to have it at least at 165. I tend to wait till 170 just to be on the safe side. By selecting the biggest piece of chicken, if that piece of chicken is at 170, that means the smaller pieces are at 170 as well. Okay, so after you do this, the next step would be to set the temperature. So my chicken is in there, it's nice and ready to go. I've added chips. The next thing would be to set temp. Alright, so the temperature you want to hit would be 220. Remember, the reason that the smoked chicken comes out nice and tender is because you take your time, you don't rush it. So 220 should be good enough. Set temp. And then you want to set the time. Just for argument's sake, I'm going to go with 4 hours, 5 hours. Alright, so now it's good to go. Because I used the meat probe that it came with, the electric smoker came with, I can just go ahead and press. The meat probe is going to tell me it's at 38 degrees, which it should be because it was in the refrigerator. But wait until that temperature hits 170 and you should be ready to pull out your chicken. Once that hits 170, I'll show you what the finished product looks like. See you then. Alright, so I want to say 12 minutes into the cook, because we started at 5, so yeah, 13 minutes. As you can see, there's plenty of smoke coming out. Open up the hatchet. Oh, there's my empanada. Open up the hatchet and then close it. You're having a lot of smoke coming out, which is good. It's not even hitting the 220 yet, and your meat probe is already at 52. Okay, so just keep an eye on the meat probe. If you stop smoking, add more chips and just wait till you hit I would say 170 just to be safe. happy smoking. We'll see you when it finishes. All right, so you can see we have been smoking for about 2 hours now. I kept on adding chips so that I can get a continuous smoke out of it. But at this point, if you notice on the meat probe, it's closer to 160. We're about 5 degrees off from being considered totally cooked. So once you open this up, you're gonna notice something with your chicken. It is gonna look a little bit of like a oveny type of chicken. Let's get the smoke out of here. See that? Look at all that smoke. It's nice. Okay. So if you notice, the chicken's there. It has a little tone to it, a little nice little color to it. But I would like to finish it off with some barbecue sauce. Now what I did here is I actually got some barbecue sauce and I added a little bit of water so that it's not too thick. It is just the right amount right there. And what you want to do with this is you want to actually baste your chicken maybe for the next 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the internal temp. And also depending on how it looks. And I would recommend you start from the bottom of where you have your chicken, because if you start at the top, it's going to start dripping on you. So easy thing to do here is you get your baster and you actually start just basting your chicken. Now again, it's not going to be like, you don't have to like smother it all over, but you do want to give it a little bit of color. You want to do this as quickly as possible so that you can keep your temp on your chicken so you can continue cooking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up doing this for the rest of the chicken, and then I'll show you what it looks like after a couple of times that I do this. The other thing that I am going to do at this point, since it's very close to being cooked, the internal temp, is I'm actually going to bring the temperature up to 250. All right. What is that going to do? That's actually going to give you a nice little crisp outside layer of your chicken. All right. Like I said, you can leave it at 220 if you want. If you like a softer, more tender, I guess you would call it the chicken skin, you know, the outside layer. But if you want to give it a little bit more of that barbecue flavored or taste or texture to it, you want to go ahead and add to the temperature and go up to about 250. And then once you do that, you'll start noticing that the outside of your chicken will start getting a little bit more it'll get more of a cookout type of look to it. All right, so I'm gonna end up doing that to the rest of them, and then we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so I went ahead and I basted the chicken with some barbecue sauce. Now the last step would be to close it. And now we're gonna come up here and set your temperature to 250. All right, so now you wait, give it about 10 minutes, then baste them again. If you like the color, the way it looks outside, if you like the way it looks, you can go ahead and just pull them out as long as they hit the 170. If it hasn't hit 170, you can go ahead and baste them again, or if you like the way it looks, leave it alone, just wait till it hits 170. All right, so as you can see, I raised the temperature to 250. It's still smoking with that method that I showed you guys, putting it underneath. But now that my temperature of the internal temperature of the chicken has hit at least 170, now it's time to pull it. All right, now remember, depending on how much of a marble type of bark you want on the outside, you will keep on basting with that barbecue sauce until you're satisfied. I actually just basted it once. By raising the temperature to 250, it got my temperature up to the internal temp of the chicken where I needed it. Now the last thing is just to verify. So I'm going to open up the smoker. Oh, it fogged my thing up. Let me clean it. Now you see the steam coming out of it. Now there is the meat probe that I have. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out of here, stick it in possibly there. And then let's just try to look at the meat temp. Okay, so that's telling me that there's a chance that the chicken is not ready. So remember, it's 165. So let me just make sure, because I did feel like I hit the bone. I'm gonna just try to hit another piece just to make sure I'm very safe with this. All right, so let me see here. It's at 159, 160. All right, so that basically tells me I need to give it a little bit more time. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close it. And I'm gonna wait until that temp hits 165, 170. That's the target temp. All right. All right, so my chicken has already gotten up to the 170 temp that I was looking for. So now all I'm gonna do is go ahead and pull this chicken out. Now there's one more trick up my sleeve that I haven't mentioned to you guys. One of the ways that you want to get your chicken as nice and as tender as possible is not only to pull it out, but to give it a little bit of time to rest. And the best way that I've done this so far is to get a cooler, line it with photo paper, and put my chicken in, usually with, I want to say about 30 minutes is a good rule of thumb on the chicken. If you let it rest, you don't have to, but if you do let it rest, what that'll end up doing is that'll make it even juicier and more, to use, for the lack of a better term, more fall off the bonier type of chicken. All right, so as long as you can follow those couple of guidelines in regards to your chicken, let it hit the 170, and then afterwards you let it rest, you should have chicken that pretty much falls off the bone. All right, now when you do use a cooler like this, make sure that it is closed so that the temperature of the chicken itself stays nice and warm. What I ended up doing here is I had some hot dogs that we had from the previous cook that I just went ahead, and since I was using the smoker for this, I went ahead and I took advantage, and now I'm going to have some hot dogs for the following day. All right, that's pretty much it. Like I said, comment or ask or suggest anything that you would like in the comment sections, and I will try to answer them as to the best of my abilities. All right, but that's smoking chicken in an electric smoker. Thanks for watching.